Thanks, Steve. My name is Jack. I'm an alcoholic.
Hi, Jack.
Well, last week we spoke about step 9, and we reviewed how this step was to be handled. Go to the person and tell the person how you feel you have offended them. Ask them how they feel you have offended them, and ask them what it is you can do to straighten out the account. And by doing this, we're going to know these facts that will come to us then in the form of promises in the big book. And how well you do it is how well you want, or how much freedom you do want, how much serenity you want, how much peace you want. Those things are all foreign to me when I was drinking. I was always putting out fires. Little brush fires would pop up and I have to put it out. And I'd no sooner get that one out than another one would pop up, and then another one would pop up, and anxiety seemed to be part of my life. And I just want to forget the bad times, but through the promises, I know that my past is really an asset for me. I think by this time we all realize that selfishness is really our problem, self-centeredness. And the 9th step promises that that will slip away. Fear of people and fear of economic insecurity. We will know how to handle situations. And God will do for us that which we could not do for ourselves. That's quite a statement, if you think about it. There are things that we want to do for ourselves that we can't do, but God can do. I mean, I don't know how a lot of you people feel about this program. I know how some of you feel about it, but I mean, to have drinking behind us and to have this program in front of us is an absolute miracle. Absolute miracle. I mean, I can't tell you, I had a drunk dream the other night. 26 years sober and I got a drunk dream. I'm drunk on beer, and I'm in the old restaurant that I used to work in. And felt terrible. Felt great waking up, though, Ooh, that really didn't happen, did it? No. Oh, God. I feel terrible. But that's behind me, I don't. The steps of this program, I don't worry about picking up a drink. 2nd step gives me that confidence. I don't worry about picking up a drink. It's not me. Today we're on step 10 and continue to take personal inventory, and when we were wrong, promptly admitted it. I read a book a couple of years ago called Rising Sun, written by Michael Crichton, who was a doctor and a Harvard graduate. And good writer, wrote Jurassic Park, well done. And he was juxtaposing the Japanese attitude in industry and the United States attitude in industry. And the Japanese attitude is, there's something wrong, you fix it. You fix it. The American attitude is, there's something wrong, who do we blame? We got to blame somebody for this screw up. Japanese don't care. Fix it. Get it done. And I think if we're more into the Japanese mode, it helps us here. Because you're always blaming everybody for what went wrong in our lives. Always. The idea is fix it. Fix it. I love this 10th step. See, I don't think the 10th step has anything to do with, whether the other guy passed the red light or you had the green light. I don't think that's the wrong they're talking about. I think the 10th step has me remain a good AA member. I think that's very important in my life, that I remain a good AA member. And the 10th step lets me keep on the course. There was an article in the Grapevine some years ago. The 10th step is like shooting the stars, so you don't get off course. So you don't start making excuses for not attending meetings. You just don't start making excuses for not taking jobs in your group. You must be a good AA member, because this is a wonderful program. The book says that we must continue to set right any new mistakes. We have entered into the world of the Spirit. This is kind of scary, huh? The book says that. We have entered the world of the Spirit. And I think we started out these discussions some weeks ago saying that, so we're not concerned with physical ills in this program. Very few of us come in here with anything physically wrong with them. Nobody's limping, or, a couple of guys break arms and legs, We have a guy in our group that tried jumping out of a moving car. He came in with a physical ill, but it's really spiritual ills that we're seeking to address in these steps. And we are emotional machines. God, alcoholics are just emotional machines. We never stop grinding out emotions, resentment, hate, love, fear, jealousy, you name it, we can grind them out. And so we've entered into this world of the Spirit where after the 9th step, we realize that sobriety is really a state of mind. It's a state of mind. It has, of course, you have to be free of alcohol, but sobriety is a lot more than freedom from alcohol. Alcohol was your admission ticket to get into this program. Couldn't get in here without it, or whatever you use. I really don't matter. I say you have to get the shot glass out of your head. I suppose I should amend that and say you have to get the empty needle out of your head, or you got to get the straw out of your head, or whatever it is. You got to get that out of your head. And the shot glass out of my head is significant for me, because that's what I did. And it's just a ticket to get in here, the alcohol. Just a ticket. And when you get in here, you begin to work on those spiritual ills that have you going crazy. And if there's one thing that every alcoholic worthy of the name has in his or her kit, it's anger. It's the quick temper, huh? Boy, can we jump into a tirade very quickly, and we can really do a number on whoever is closest to us without any hesitation. It flows. It's just wonderful. And it flows louder and louder. And then we're finished, Then we walk away and we begin to cook on it. And it fulminates in us. And every once in a while we'll go back and revisit it, like in resentment, We never want to let go of it. And it's just, I think you have to look at the 10th step as being so very important to do the 11th step. If you got people living in your head rent-free, you can't do the 11th step. You can't pray and meditate with some landlord up here. You can't do it. It says that anger or resentment blocks out the sunlight of the Spirit. And that's true. I mean, when we're angry, forget about it. We're worthless. Absolutely worthless. Can't do anything for anybody. Can't be useful. Can't be helpful to no one. We're just this. We're obsessed with it. And it's very, very dangerous for us. And these things, take time to get them out. The book says that our next function in this program is to grow in understanding and effectiveness. To grow in understanding and effectiveness. The last thing I wanted to give somebody that I was angry with was understanding. That's the last thing I wanted to do. I wanted revenge is what I wanted, and understanding was the last thing I wanted to give them. But you know what? If I want to stay alive, I have to grow in understanding and effectiveness. And, the guy that cuts me off in Silver Lake, I want to chase him to Armonk, that's all. And give him a bird or something, that's what I want. But I know I can't do that, because I have other things to do. I really do. I can't be chasing drivers, but, sometimes when, you see newcomers that come in, you think that you're running a driver's ed course. Why do you do that? Oh, son of a bitch, he did this, he did that. Just anger. And if we can replace the anger with understanding, maybe the guy didn't see me. Maybe he's got something going on during the day. I don't know. Maybe his wife died, his mother died, or maybe he's got other problems. Maybe a check bounce. I don't know. But I mean, why? Let's put a little understanding. Let's walk in his shoes a little bit and see, what's going on. And this kind of growth in understanding and effectiveness is something that's going to go on for a lifetime. And the book says we have to watch out for selfishness, dishonesty, resentment, and fear. Selfishness is a tough thing. We're always thinking about number one. I mentioned in step 8, I don't think any one of us belongs on our own 8-step list, because we take care of ourselves. We need something, we do it. If there's enough left over for your wife or your husband, then that's when his turn comes or her turn comes. But we take care of number one. We don't have to be on any 8-step list, and we don't. But that's what But when you get so wound up in yourself, relieve me of the bondage of self. That thing that we talked about in the 3rd step. That's really true. We are bound up in ourselves. So when these things occur, when this anger occurs, you can't let it fester in you. I get on I go shopping sometimes, not a lot, but I go shopping. And, some woman will write a check in front of me. And, what is it? This is the Grand Union. For Christ, where the hell do you think you were going? Why don't you have the goddamn payee made out? That's what I want to tell her, Kind of stupid nonsense is this? Well, you can't do that, Can't do that. I have to understand. Maybe she's got a couple of kids or something, You sit there and... But we just fly off the handle. We just do it. blaming somebody for how we feel today or what's going on in our lives, always blaming somebody. Well, I think this step tells us that if we're angry, we're wrong. Wow, that was a big concept to me. You mean the guy that's cheating me, if he gets me angry, I'm wrong? And my sponsor said, yeah, that's right, because there's a civilized way to handle everything. There is a civilized way to deal with someone who's trying to cheat you. There's a civilized way to deal with someone that's holding up a line. There's a civilized way to handle life. And you better learn the civilized way, Jack, or else you're going to drink and you're going to die. And it's that simple. What about justified anger? Oh, now there's a nice one, right? Justified anger. Isn't all our anger justified? Huh? Ask any one of us. Of course it's justified. I wouldn't be angry if it wasn't justified. Right? If it was unjustified, I wouldn't be angry, because I would be unjust. And I know about that. I'm a lawyer. I know about justice and injustice. I know all about that. Justified anger, the book tells us, we got to stay away from. We're not good at that distinction between justified. Stay away from it. Justified anger will kill you just the same way as unjustified anger will kill you. So it's just, don't bother with it. It's not worth the problem. It's not worth it. The book tells us that as soon as that pops up, we ask God to remove it, discuss it with someone immediately, and make amends quickly if you've harmed somebody. And then resolutely turn our thoughts to someone we can help. And if you really look around, there's always somebody you can help. There's always somebody you can help. Whether it's the person you live with, or your children, or just a phone call, or see how things are going, visit your mother, or whatever. I mean, there's always somebody that you can help. You can be useful in their lives. And it doesn't mean that you have to loan them money, or you just have to be there for them. And that's so important. And if anything, these steps hone us to be useful in our lives. 12 steps. When we're finished with them, we're useful people. And that's what we are supposed to do. Love and tolerance of others is our code. We cease fighting anything and anybody. Isn't that a wonderful thing, huh? Go through life without fighting people. God. Even alcohol. What happens to sanity has returned, this step tells us. We recoil from alcohol as if from a hot flame. That's a miracle. We take an absolutely neutral position with alcohol. We react sanely and normally, and it comes to us. We don't even ask for it. It comes to us automatically because we're here, we do the steps, we do what's asked of us, and the alcohol problem is removed. How can that be? Removed. God. I know if I told you this, and I of course, my admonition at the beginning of these was that I may repeat myself. But there was a little plumber by the name of Matt Carey. And Matt had about, 5 or 10 years. And he said to me one night at a meeting, alcohol is not important. I said, what? I had a couple of months at the time. He said, alcohol is not important. I said, what, are you kidding? It's the most important thing in my life. What the hell do you think I'm coming to these meetings for? I mean, it's killing me. It's this, it's that, it's what? Jack, it's not important. Not important? Not important. I went home, as you usually do, and began to think about what was said. And he's right. Alcohol's not important. I came to that belief because of these steps. I came to that belief because I showed up at these meetings. Not important. I don't care what you're using that got you here. Not important. Not important. Not important to a good life. What's important to a good life is that we smash that ego. You know, the two things that Bill told us, the two prices that we had to pay: to smash the ego and turn to the Father of light in all things. That's what he said. That's the price that has to be paid for recovery. The absolute destruction of self-centeredness and turn to the Father of light in all things. It's in Bill's story, right up front. So the other stuff is not important. Whether or not somebody cheats you is not important. Whether or not somebody cuts you off, not important. Whether or not a woman brings a blank check to the supermarket, it's really not important. Not important. It's our usefulness to other people. And, you know, what happened to me and the alcohol is nothing less than a miracle. Nothing less than a miracle. It's just, you know, I woke up one day and I'm driving along and I don't think about drinking for 3 or 4 hours. Couldn't believe it. But this chapter in the book says that we cannot rest on our laurels. Cannot rest on our laurels, which I translate, you got to go to the meetings. You have to go to the meetings. If you rest on your laurels, how many times you talk to people? Gee, I haven't seen you in a while. Yeah, I don't think I need it. I'm not really in any trouble. Tick tock, you know. It's ready to go off, and they don't know it. You know, tick tock. I'll go when I think I need it. Tick tock. You cannot rest on your laurels. Cannot. Meetings, helping others. I said to this person the other day, I said, you know, somebody was there for you when you came in. How do you feel about that, staying home? I mean, come on. You got to be there for the people that are coming in. You know, if everyone before 1969 rested on their laurels, I'd be drunk. There were people there when I came in. People there that guy had 2.5 years without a drink. Oh my God, a miracle. And he talked to me and everything. Terrific. We're never cured of alcoholism, it says. We have a daily reprieve based upon our spiritual condition, and I think the spiritual condition is having that ego smashed, accepting life on its terms. That's the spiritual condition, and turning to the Father of light for all things. That's the spiritual condition. 10-step prayer is, how can I best serve Thee? Thy will, not mine, be done. 10-step prayer. It's right there in the book. We will become God conscious. That's a funny phrase. You know, Alcoholics Anonymous has its own lexicon of words, and God consciousness. That's don't we become God conscious in AA? You know, somebody says something, you know, and I say, well, God didn't want you to have that, or, you know, don't worry, you keep looking for a job and God will find you a job. Can't stay home, you know. God doesn't knock on doors. You gotta go out and you gotta do the resumes and you gotta knock on the doors, but He'll find you a job. And we do become God conscious. We do really take that third step, and we do turn our will and our lives over to His care. And it's hard to believe that I lived another way before I came in here. It's hard to believe how I fought life, how I would try and manipulate, and God. But I don't do that anymore. Sobriety is truly a state of mind. The acid test of staying in this program, in the book, is 1, can we stay sober? 3 things. 2, can we keep an emotional balance? Keep an emotional balance. That's even hard to comprehend for an alcoholic, isn't it? Emotional balance. Live to good purpose under all conditions. That's what the book says. That's the acid test for us. Whoa, keep an emotional balance. And that's, I think, largely for us, it's anger. I mean, there are other emotions, I suppose. Love and hate. Well, hate and anger is the same thing. Pride is really the father of them all, but I think anger is the one that really gets us in trouble. Because we say things like that and destroy relationships that have existed for years and years. We just fly off the handle. 12 and 12 tells us that we must acquire a habit of accurate self-appraisal. Like the golfers say, you ever talk to a golfer, I got my swing in a groove. I have to have a groove swing. And I think our self-appraisal has got to be in a groove. We've got to do it all the time. And this step says, when wrong, promptly admit it. Doesn't say, as you're going to sleep, review your day. I think if he wanted to say that, he would have said that. He said promptly. And promptly, I speak English, means immediately. Doesn't mean wait until you can revisit that anger. Doesn't mean to wait around. It means to promptly admit that you were wrong and make amends if you've hurt somebody. Forgiveness was not one of our great character assets, huh? And that's so important to us. That forgiveness that we must give to people. When they told me that if I was angry at somebody, I should pray for them, I thought they were absolutely out of their minds. I mean, these people are wacko. Pray for them, and they meant it. He said, Jack, not only do I want you to pray for the person you're angry with, I want you to ask God to give them blessings, to give them happiness, to give them good health, to give them wealth. I want you to pray to God for them in those specific areas. And you can't stay angry with someone that you're praying for. You just can't. Just can't be done. And it works. Everything in here works. It just works. That ego that we talk about, that anger, that anything that separates us from the power. And it's all progress, as we said before, not perfection. I heard someone say the other day, if you like everybody in AA, you haven't been to enough meetings. But I don't know about the wisdom of that remark, to be honest with you. I don't think we can dislike anybody, because then we have not grown in understanding and effectiveness. Even Warren Burger, Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, I can't dislike him, but I think that's important. We don't dislike people. You don't have to love everybody, but I don't think you have to dislike somebody. I think you have to give forgiveness to that person or understand that person. 12 and 12 talks about the review of your day when you go to sleep, but that doesn't relieve you of the burden of admitting promptly when you're wrong. So it's a good idea when you go to sleep to review your day, what's good and what's bad, what you did, what you didn't do, what were our motives, Motives are very important for us. We're grateful. We want to render constructive criticism. That's another word for punishment. We want to render constructive criticism to our children and to those about us that we have power over. That's another thing that we like, is power. So I think we have to review our motives at the end of the day. And each day, I believe, brings a lesson to us. Every day is a lesson. I think that's the way God works it out. We learn something every day about life. And each person that we meet is a teacher. Some teach us what to do, and some teach us what to do, and some teach us what not to do. But every person that we meet is a teacher, and each day is a lesson. And I think when we review that at the end of the day, we get the lesson of the day. What is it that I learned about life today? What did this person that I meet, what did they teach me about life today? What did they teach me what not to do? That happens very often. The nightly inventory should contain three things: an honest regret for harms done, genuine gratitude for blessings received, and willingness to try for a better tomorrow. And those are the assets that we seek. I think genuine gratitude for blessings received is very important. You know, this is a great program when you got a pocket full of money and everybody's slapping you on the back. But sometimes that isn't always the case. But you have to review the blessings that you have in this program. And they are many. Just the fact that I don't have to worry about getting drunk today is enough for me. But and I used to worry about that. Sounds a little silly now, but I tell you, I used to worry about that. What was I going to say to people? Hiding from people. Mary Ann's questions. Who do we promptly admit it to? I think to God, to ourselves, probably to our sponsor when we're wrong. And if we've done harm to that person, then we admit it to that person. Is this a daily thing? I think it's a many, many times a day thing. It's a daily thing plus. It's something, you know, if you get into that groove, you'll find out that you don't do these things. And that's the groove that we have to get into. I have trouble with promptly sometimes. I'm too angry. What do I do? Well, I think one of the things about anger is we really let it go. Because somehow we love it, you know? Somehow we love it. Don't ask me why. I guess some psychiatrist will be able to figure that out. But when somebody does something to us, want them drawn and quartered, a slow death, pain, you know. How am I going to get even? And my sponsor told me when I felt my neck getting red, stop. You're wrong. I don't care what this guy did to you. I don't care if, I don't care. You're wrong. Let's quiet this down. Let's not get it out of control. You're alcoholic. I think I told you this story about this huge Virginian who name is Cecil in my group when I first came in. And Cecil went to Washington, D.C. for a convention of some sort. And it must have been an inauguration or something going on in Washington. All the hotel rooms were taken. And he went in to check in a hotel that he had made a confirmation reservation with. And he got to the desk on time, and the desk clerk told him, "I'm sorry, Mr. Cecil," whatever his last name was, "we had to give away your room. We don't have any room." Cecil turned around, walked out of the hotel. He thought that he first toyed with the idea of taking the desk clerk over the counter and explaining to him what confirmation meant. But he walked out of the hotel, turned to his right, went down 2 houses. There was a tourist home, walked up, knocked on the door. There was a room. He went to bed and had a great night's sleep and was fine for the next day. He said, because if I let myself do that, I could get drunk. And if I got drunk, it would kill me. And that was a great lesson to me. I couldn't understand it at the time. I really couldn't. I said, there's something wrong with him. I mean, I want to see the manager. I want to see his boss. Who owns this hotel? Where's the guy that owns the block? I want to see everybody. If you don't. Cecil just walked out and got himself a room. What a civilized way to handle a situation, huh? And that's what AA does for us. So I think don't let yourself get too angry. That's because, we manufacture our own misery. And that was clear to me after a short time in here. And if I'm disturbed about something, it's my fault. I didn't always believe that, but I believe it now. I ask my higher power for help to keep things in perspective. I think just the phrase, God, come into my life, come into my heart, come into my soul, come into my mind. God, come into me. Open up the door. I think that keeps us in perspective about everything. Because then we realize where these blessings come from. I mean, there's nobody in this room that would stay sober for any length of time without God's help. And so I think asking God to come into our lives, I do it several times a day, just as a habit. And the peace is terrific. And I was talking to my son last night. I get in, my wife is on the phone. She's on the phone with my son. Hey, you take this, I listen. I say, yeah, that's all right, Kevin. Kevin says, you're always cool, huh? I say, yeah, what's the story? We'll see how this works out, it's life. And, you got to address it and keep it on its terms. But I think we all need God's help. And I think the moment we don't think we need his help, we're in trouble. The moment that ego separates us from the power and keeps the power at a distance, because, as I've said to Neil many times, the moment we start making God vice president in our lives, we're in trouble. We're in trouble. We have to have him as the president, and he has to come in and be of help to us. God dependency is really what this is all about. When I promptly admit I'm wrong, do I then make an amends? Well, of course, if it's there, I'd say make it. If it's something that has to wait a while, then I think that's something that you will feel, that's that promise in the 9th step. You'll know intuitively how to handle things that used to baffle us. That's part of that 9th step. That really works. In my business, I'm constantly making decisions. Sometimes I make decisions when the jury's out. I say, come over here. They've been out a long time now. What do you think? So it's an intuition that you can rely on, because we're God conscious, we're God dependent. and we know who it is that keeps us sober. Suppose I'm right, but emotionally out of control. God protect me from being right. I'm great when I'm wrong. I'm really great when I'm wrong. But when I'm right, forget about it. Particularly when I was drinking. When I was drinking and I was right, and there were very few times that situation arose, but it was brutal. And it can be brutal today, too, you know. So you're right. We used to have a guy in our group that if you were started to make an argument about, you know, you were right, he would sit there, write out a slip. You are right. And he'd hand you the slip. Put that in your pocket, and now you're right. Okay, terrific. Not important. Not important. You know? I mean, I'm not talking about being right in the law or something like that, or, you know, doing the right thing as a parent. I'm just talking about, you know, you left a goddamn vacuum cleaner out. I told you to, you know, put it away yourself. You know, come on. So you're right. You're right. I mean, I think being right gets us in more trouble than being wrong. I really do. Because the right is the thing that leads right into the tirade. You know? Listen, let me show you this, and this. Now, am I right or am I right? Huh? You know? And does that upset the other person? No, not at all. I mean, if you want to fight, that's the way to have it. Start out by being right. And you'll have an enormous fight. So I think that's something we really, really have to watch out for. That being right is justifiable anger, right? I mean, do we have to watch out for that or what? That's insanity, justifiable anger. I mean, that's what it leads to. And for us, angry people get drunk. They do. I hate to see it, but they do. And most people that get drunk, you can see some anger in them before they do it. I mean, I watched people in my time in AA, you know, complain about the person who works next to them, or complain about this and complain about that. This one is this and this one. And suddenly, they don't show up at the meetings. And suddenly, they're back again, you know. They're a couple of months go by and they show up again, and you ask them how things are going. And you know darn well how things are going, because they wouldn't come back if they were going good, you know. Nobody comes back to AA because they're having a great time out there. They come back to AA because it's going bad. And so anger is I think the 10th step should really take out the anger in us. Just remove it. And, you know, go about handling life in a civilized way. You think of every time that you've flown off the handle. Think about it. Just review it. And was there a civilized way to handle that situation? You bet your life there was. You bet your life there was a civilized way to handle it. You know, anger is a terrible, terrible character defect. And I was reading the papers today. The kid is shot and killed for 25 cents. You know? God, beautiful young boy. Shot and killed because he owed somebody 25. Somebody got angry with it. You know, anger is a killer. And it's a killer for us. Killer for us, because we block out the power, and we need the power to live. We block out the power. Okay, I think that's enough on the 10th step, and we'll see you next week for the 11th step.